Some artists don't just make music, they change lives. The 10 icons we honor today carried courage, truth, and beauty in every note they sang. Their journeys were powerful, their endings heartbreaking, and their legacies unforgettable. They left us too soon, but the fire they lit still burns in every soul they touched. This is our tribute to the voices the world lost, but will never forget. Leslie Cheung was elegance, courage, and artistry in one body. He lived authentically at a time and in a culture where authenticity was dangerous. He sang love songs to men, wore gender-fluid fashion, and carried himself with a grace that made him an icon for queer Asians everywhere. But even icons bleed. Behind his smile was a man battling severe depression, a weight he carried for years in silence. On the 1st of April 2003, Leslie left a final letter and leapt from the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, leaving Hong Kong in collective heartbreak. Crowds filled the streets, candles lit the night, and an entire city cried as if mourning a family member. Leslie's death did more than end a life. It ignited a conversation about mental health and LGBTQ+ identity across Asia. Today, his legacy shines brighter than the pain he carried, a symbol of honesty, beauty, and the right to love without apology. Anita Mui was the beating heart of Hong Kong entertainment, a performer so powerful she could command an entire arena with a single breath. She lived boldly, loved deeply, and formed intense emotional connections with women throughout her life, though she kept much of her private world hidden to protect those she cared about. Anita carried burdens silently, heartbreak, loneliness, health struggles, while giving the public only her strength. Even as cancer ravaged her body, she performed one final concert, standing tall in front of thousands who loved her. At 40, she passed away, and Hong Kong went into mourning unlike anything the region had ever seen. Fans lined the streets, flowers blanketed the sidewalks, the city felt emptier, quieter, almost incomplete. But Anita's spirit lives on in every strong, unapologetic woman who refuses to be defined by society's expectations. She remains a timeless symbol of love, resilience, and artistry. The legendary frontman of Queen wasn't just a singer, he was a force of nature. Freddie had a voice that could slice through stadium noise and still feel intimate, like he was singing just for you. On stage, he was wild, theatrical, and fearless, turning every performance into a celebration of life. Off stage, he struggled with loneliness, secrecy, and the weight of a world that wasn't ready for a man like him. When AIDS entered his life, he chose to keep his illness private, not out of shame, but to protect the music and the people around him. He recorded until his body could no longer keep up, pushing through pain to finish songs like The Show Must Go On, which now feels like a goodbye letter hidden in plain sight. Freddie died at just 45, one day after publicly confirming he had AIDS. His body is gone, but his influence is everywhere, in every queer artist who dares to be bold, in every misfit who finds comfort in Queen's music, and in every crowd that still sings "We Are the Champions" like a promise to never be silent. Sylvester wasn't just a disco star, he was the heartbeat of queer nightlife in the 1970s and early 80s. With his soaring falsetto, glittering outfits, and unapologetically feminine energy, he turned songs like "You Make Me Feel Mighty Real" into anthems of queer joy. At a time when many LGBTQ+ people were forced to hide, Sylvester walked on stage like a living declaration. "This is who I am, take it or leave it." When AIDS started taking lives in the community he loved, it came for him too. He grew weaker, but he refused to disappear quietly. He made sure his royalties would support HIV, AIDS charities, turning his success into a lifeline for others. Sylvester passed away in 1988, far too young, but his spirit never left the dance floor. Every time someone finds freedom under the club lights, every time a queer person dares to be flamboyant and fabulous, a piece of Sylvester's legacy lives on. Klaus Nomi felt like a visitor from another planet, and that was exactly the point. With his painted face, sculpted hair, and surreal costumes, he looked like something out of a sci-fi opera. Then he opened his mouth, and that haunting, powerful countertenor voice stunned everyone into silence. Mixing opera with new wave, he turned weirdness into beauty and made queerness into high art. But Klaus rose to fame during the early years of the AIDS crisis, when fear and stigma were everywhere. As his health deteriorated, many people around him vanished, scared of a disease no one understood. He spent his last days in pain and isolation, one of the first artists publicly known to have died of AIDS. Today, he's remembered as a cult legend, the artist who showed that you don't have to fit in to matter. His influence can be seen in fashion, music, drag, and queer performance all over the world. Klaus Nomi's life was short, but his vision opened doors for every artist who feels too strange for the mainstream. Whitney had a voice that seemed too perfect to be real, powerful, pure, and overflowing with emotion. To the world, she was America's golden girl, the church-trained singer turned global superstar, the woman whose songs became wedding anthems, breakup soundtracks, and healing prayers. But behind the polished image was a complicated, deeply human story. She lived under brutal pressure from the music industry, from her family, from the public to be perfect, to be straight, to be everything people expected. Her close, possibly romantic relationship with Robin Crawford was something she could never fully live openly in a world that demanded that she fit a wholesome image. Add in drugs, a turbulent marriage, media cruelty, and the weight of never being fully understood, and the cost on her spirit was enormous. Whitney died at just 48, found alone in a hotel bathroom, and the world mourned not just the voice, but the woman we never fully got to know. Her story is tragic, but it also reveals how hard it is to be queer, black, and female in an industry built on control. Her music, though, remains a lifeline, a reminder that even broken hearts can produce the most beautiful sound. George Michael was more than a pop star. He was the soundtrack of entire generations. From Wham's bubblegum hits to his soulful solo work, he wrote songs that felt intimate, vulnerable, and deeply human. But behind the fame, George fought his own private battles, with the fear of coming out, with intrusive tabloids, with depression, with addiction, and with the pressure of constant scrutiny. His outing was not on his terms. It came after an arrest that turned into a global tabloid circus. But instead of hiding, he owned it. He walked into interviews with honesty and humor, using what could have destroyed him as a moment of empowerment. He became a proud, openly gay man who used his platform to support LGBTQ+ rights and quietly donated millions to charities without seeking credit. On Christmas Day in 2016, he died alone at home, and the news felt like a punch to the world's chest. People didn't just lose a singer, they lost a gentle soul who had given so much of himself through his music and kindness. George's life is a reminder that even heroes struggle in the dark, and that visibility doesn't erase pain. Yet his songs full of longing, love, and hope continue to comfort those who feel different, misunderstood, or alone. Dolores wasn't just the voice of the Cranberries, she was the soul of an entire generation. Her voice carried both fragility and fire, trembling with sorrow yet soaring with a strength that felt supernatural. She sang about loss, war, trauma, love, and identity, with a kind of honesty that left no place to hide. And behind her lyrics was a woman who knew those emotions intimately. Dolores spoke openly about loving women, about her fluidity and longing for connection, even as she navigated a lifetime of darkness, childhood trauma, bipolar disorder, emotional isolation. Her final days were quiet, lonely, and heavy. When she was discovered lifeless in a London hotel bathroom in 2018, the world froze. It wasn't just a musician dying, it was a voice that had held millions of hurting hearts suddenly going silent. But her presence lives on. Every time someone plays Zombie, Linger, or Ode to My Family, Dolores rises again, singing for everyone who has ever needed a truth they were afraid to say out loud. Amy was lightning trapped in a human body, brilliant, dangerous, beautiful, and impossible to contain. With her smoky voice, vintage style, and brutally honest lyrics, she reshaped British soul for a new generation. Amy never hid who she was. She flirted with women openly, wrote about the chaos of love with unusual transparency, and embraced a rawness that the industry wasn't prepared for. But the fame machine chewed her up. Every mistake became a headline, every breakdown, a meme, Every cry for help, entertainment for millions. She spiraled in front of the world, and instead of being protected, she was exploited. At just 27, she succumbed to alcohol poisoning not because she was reckless, but because she was exhausted from fighting alone. Amy's death became a symbol of how fragile brilliance can be, but her music full of pain, love, and truth keeps her spirit alive, reminding us of the cost of being too real in a world that prefers illusions. Avicii was the quiet genius of a generation addicted to noise. Behind the thundering festival beats and billion-stream hits was a soft-spoken, deeply sensitive young man who felt everything too intensely. His music was loved by the LGBTQ+ community worldwide for its emotional purity songs that made people feel understood, uplifted, and included. But fame became a prison. Relentless tours, corporate pressure, and emotional strain carved pieces out of him until nothing felt safe anymore. He withdrew from the world, searching for peace in every place except the one that mattered most inside himself. In 2018, overwhelmed and exhausted, Avicii ended his life. The news shattered millions. His death forced the world to confront the truth. Success does not protect you from pain. Today, Avicii is remembered not just as a DJ, but as a gentle soul who gave joy to millions while quietly drowning in his own darkness. His songs remain a place of comfort, the kind of music that reminds people to keep living, even on the days they don't know how.